Hey, what is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with a Doom Raid video guide for you all. In today's video, we're going to be utilizing the Rebirth characters to get through the bio nodes, as this is definitely a pain point for some folks that don't have them built up. I mean, they're a great team to utilize, and we know that there's going to be value in the future if there's other raids in the future for specifically bio characters. So, that said, guys, I am going to be going through and showing you Nodes 2 and Nodes 3 playthrough, just because Nodes 1 is the easiest one, and you can actually sim that node, so no issues there. But Nodes 2, Nodes 3 being the boss node, I have the gameplay footage there. Before we dive into it though, I wanted to quickly show you guys my roster. These are the 5 Rebirth characters. Again, a new team for the bio raid specifically, and then I'll show you as well the respective upgrades. The only one that's brought up to level 85 is actually Captain Carter, but here, let me just scroll through. There's just tons and tons of healing on this team, and Captain Carter is really the key cog piece for this team, so that is why she's built up higher than everyone else. But overall, I'm finding that my damage can be improved, but I want to show you guys at least the bare minimums for what I have upgraded for T4, so that way you can save materials and utilize the guide for your reference. So those are the 5 characters right now in respect to their upgrades. Let's dive right now into the gameplay. So for node 2 specifically, this could be arguably the hardest node for the bio node, specifically in Doom Raid, just because of the enemies that we're up against. Just a big mixture here of the Astonishing with Infinity Watch. So there's a lot of devastating damage that happens at the beginning, but you can see our Agent Venom doing a lot of passive damage even before we get any of the attacks going. So first thing, guys, I recommend always using Captain Carter at the beginning, activating her ultimate ability. It's gonna cleanse everything, but as well apply the immunity and safeguard, so that way we have really good protection against any negative conditions, and ensuring the positive buffs do stay on us too. Shortly afterwards, you can see with the passive attacks, Gamora is easily taken down, and then we actually continue now using some disabling attacks to crowd control. So we disable Beast. We want to make sure he's not healing and giving him additional damage, but Agent Venom doing some amazing work with his ultimate. And you can just see, even though this is a very tanky team that we're up against, with Infinity Watch having high HP pools, their synergy and barrier, we're still doing a lot of high damage against them. And keep in mind, our team is only about 700k or less. So I mean, this is just a very powerful team. This is the highest difficulty in Doom 3.5, but I was very surprised and impressed just to see how good they're performing, even with them having lower stars on the team, right? Overall, Captain America and Winter Soldier, those are the only 2 that really have high stars on them built up, and everybody else, level 80 as well, and only Captain Carter being the true character that's brought up with teal gear. So next up, we're gonna ability block here. As you can see, Jubilee, we want to make sure we're focusing on the aspects of the Astonishing X-Men, and again, focusing them because of the cleanse, right? With Beast being active, he can provide a heal and passive damage. We go ahead, finish off Beast. That should leave us now with this cluster of the Infinity Watch, but it's likely going to spawn now Phoenix with magic, and this is what I consider the part 2 of why this node's so difficult, because it's essentially another second win for this team. But thankfully, just look at the disables, guys. I highly recommend stunning Phoenix, as you saw with her spawn there. That way she isn't using her special to actually soak up all the negative conditions. And then again, now we're resuming our work and just focusing on Jubilee with the passive attacks. Once that's done, guys, the 2 focus points will likely just be cleaning up characters like Nebula, and then focusing on magic as well, because you can see at this point I've switched to auto, not even really caring my abilities what to use, because I've gotten the first step of it done. So the reason why I prefer doing that in the manual beginning, guys, is because this node I find has been hit or miss with simming. So by setting this up, when you get to this point where Phoenix is actually stunned, and then you're targeting the weaker enemies like Nebula, we just took down, Moondragon, and then focusing as well magic, this is at a point where you can actually auto. But that's not something we can simulate, so it's still very easy, guys. It just eats up a couple minutes, obviously, but because of our team having less damage, I think that's probably part of the issue with them being lower. Their damage isn't as great, but again, they can still get the job done. At this point, as you can see, I'm still autoing. Phoenix goes down, summoning Dark Phoenix. Unfortunately, we have the taunt that we have to get through with Colossus. But yeah, I still don't typically have issues, even at this point, using the auto. And you just got to make sure you're targeting even when you're doing the auto. But the other reason we do the auto attack here is because of the fact that we want to increase, mitigate the time that's being used. So I have had instances where I've timed out, And this is particularly why the auto does save up some time. Once you focus down magic, you're in a really good spot, because you know you take away Phoenix's second life back, but as well then we can finally focus on the last wave here, being Deathpool, Phoenix, and Adam Warlock likely will be the last character remaining, just because he has that second health, but that's okay. We focus now, resuming our attacks on Deathpool here. And then, yeah, business as usual, guys. And I switched over to turning off auto just because I like saving my energy as well. So at this point, you can just auto basic if you wanted. But yeah, you'll see that because my characters are lower starter levels, you're probably not going to have as much damage until later on when we actually get them higher up. Or that's why some other players also have opted to use Red Hulk to add some additional damage. But I still like this team. I like the synergy because they have so many buffs for each other. And as you can see, like I said, one of the hardest notes typically in all the Doom raids now becomes very, very easy with this Rebirth team. So I've been super happy with that. And that's how I've been really blowing past the bio notes now, getting to Tech, getting to Mystic, where it's a lot easier in this initial section when you're doing the left side. That wraps up the node 2 right there, guys. Now we can switch over to the boss node. Now, similar to node 2, guys, there is an initial setup where I have to get to a certain point and then I switch over to auto. So allow me to show you guys again with this node. I've tried simming, but just no luck, because it's a very powerful node if you're not carefully using the crowd controlling aspect. So starting things off, I do use go ahead here with the US agent, using his special to actually ability block. Really being Silver Surfer, because you just don't want his ultimate going off from the very beginning. So you can see likely he would use his basic and transfer that over. We don't care because we have a couple cleansing abilities with Captain America and as well Captain Carter, so not a big deal. Also resume then, if you get the stun, make sure you stun Phyla Vell, so that way she's not going to be cleansing any negatives that we have. And then once again, Agent Venom just doing some crazy amount of good damage. I love his ultimate. It just crits so well, and the piercing is absolutely huge, so definitely build that up if you can. Now we can actually once again resume aiming for Silver Surfer. So yeah, go ahead, use the special there just to add up the deflex, and then as well the safeguards, which is absolutely huge there. We're going to resume once again to try to apply any kind of crowd controlling on Silver Surfer. As you can see, it does, sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't, but he has good resistance when he does have the defense up, right? But really, he is the focus of this initial wave, especially in preparation for once Icarus drops, and we want to be aiming for Icarus so that way he doesn't have that combination attack with Cersei. So that's why it is hard to sim, guys. I find that aspect, RNG based as well. Maybe once I build Rebirth up higher, it's gonna be simmable, but this is kind of what's worked for me, and you don't want to risk it if your alliance is going for the 100% push, and it can eat up more attempts than what you wanted, especially when this team is capable of finishing this node in one shot. So just keep that in mind, guys. So now that Silver Surfer's down, go ahead, aim for the damage dealers. So Corvus Glaive. I don't like Ebony Maw. Even with him being out of the meta, he still has some great skills overall. So at this point now, second wave does spawn, and our focus point is going to be Icarus. So if you're able to, maybe make sure you crowd control, so applying a stun or ability block, just making sure he doesn't use his abilities, right? And at that point too, make sure if you have more ability controlling, I'd recommend taking down damage dealers such as T'Challa, shutting him down. But once you should get another reload here of Agent Venom's ultimate, and you can see just cleaning up a lot of enemies here. You really want to hope that Cersei is not dropping, and sometimes she does, but at this point then, we've done some really good work on Icarus. Even if he gets his ultimate off at this point, you're going to see he does. That's okay, just because we've cleaned up and we've done a lot of damage to the enemies already, and we're in a good spot. So hopefully you're focusing Icarus, so that way when he does use his ultimate, if he does, he's in a weakened state, or he has an offense down and so forth. So you can see, really, we're just continuing to set this up now, and we're getting to the point where I'm switching almost to auto. But again, you really do want to make sure that you're focusing as much as you can on Icarus. At this point, the 2-minute mark, and you should be around 8, 9 enemies. You can switch over to auto because we do need to save time here. Generally, I find that this is where it's a little tight for timing as well. And again, I think it's just due to the fact that this team is a little bit lower, and this is the highest difficulty of Doom raids. But that's okay. These guys are more than capable, and like I said, when you take down the key enemy targets like Silver Surfer, Icarus in their initial waves, you should be in a really, really good spot, especially this last wave, not really having a lot of damage dealers outside of T'Challa, and Cersei is more of a supportive character. Corvus Glaive, Icarus, Silver Surfer, they're really the ones doing damage. At this point, it's just these tanks that we got to deal with, right? And don't worry, guys. You can see Thanos actually struck my Agent Venom down, probably because he has lower stars and not built up, but that's okay. We got to remember that Captain Carter also has a revive, so not an issue, and also it is the boss node, so worst case scenario, if you guys aren't able to clean up, your lines will likely be able to follow up, as this is a really good attempt here. So you can see cleaning up here. Yeah, there we go. And then now that we finished off Call Obsidian, you can just leave her Cersei for last. I like her for last because she's actually quite tanky, and taking her down in place of the other enemies, they can do a lot more work than hers, right? So all she can really do is cleanse and have a stun, and really just bother you in terms of stalling, right? So that's why you want to be able to save Cersei for the end if you can, just because of her tankiness, even though she's a supportive character there. So, and there you guys have it. One shot, so one shot easy for Node 2 and Node 3. But again, you know, it's thanks again to this Rebirth team, and less than 700K is able to get the job done. So hopefully you guys are able to, you know, get some good takeaway points. Thank you as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.